Mark, over to you, please, as an introduction and everything, and then I'll brief. We are sticking to the agenda. And again, we need to finish at 10 o'clock. We've got 60 minutes and the time is running. Mark, over to you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to you. I'll just report very briefly on some of the recent happenings that Kuba, myself, have had over the last couple of weeks. Yesterday, we have had our IMO meeting. I have to say that both Kuba and I don't know about Paddy, but Kuba and I were a little bit disappointed actually with this meeting. One of the topics on the meeting agenda was crew vaccinations, and it may be that I'm either naive or unduly cynical, but it's rapidly dawned on me that the IMO is perhaps I'm exaggerating, but sort of politically and bureaucratically neutered insofar as it just cannot do anything on this issue without having regard to not only other UN organizations, WHO, UNICEF, etc., but also the politics of member states, which cut across any protocols or can we have our microphones on mute? Sorry, I'm having difficulty. Thank you. Can we all put our microphones on mute? Thank you. Um, so I think by the end of our conversation, we were no further forward, and indeed, rather frustratingly, backwards insofar as the message was that IMO is working with WHO, which is working with COVAX, which is working with member states to set up various hubs for vaccinations, but that the reality was that by even the most forthright of the countries participating at UN, Great Britain, the reality was that vaccines would probably only become available in the last quarter of 21, and that's subject to all of the politics of having populations vaccinated, own populations vaccinated first. So I don't. I left that call extremely frustrated, and if we are to achieve anything as an organization, then we have to be prepared to take a firmer stance. And yes, we collaborate, and yes, we work with organizations such as IMO, and we support their efforts, but we can't rely only on those efforts. There is now, I think, the time for separate initiative, a separate self-help initiative as an association on behalf of our members. And I want to ask the executive committee hereafter, together under Kuba's guidance, to vote in favour of a motion that InterManager now takes a firm position that international efforts have not been sufficient and aren't recognizing the importance of vaccinating crew members, that we take a firm position on this separately as InterManager, and that we take now in support of the IMO, supporting the IMO, but separately we make moves to source vaccines for our seafarers, for our member seafarers, through legitimate means, wherever and howsoever we're able to obtain those. Now, I say that Colombia, my organization, we've already done that. Many of the big managers have already sourced vaccines much sooner, I dare say, than the IMO's predictions on when those vaccines will become available through legitimate governmental sources. That's all right. I'm all right, Jack. I'm afraid is not the right approach here. We have to look much wider at all of us, at all of our members and all of our seafarers. And therefore, I think we need to direct Cuba to take whatever steps are necessary, and we can all help because we all have information on where vaccines can legitimately be obtained and source that. Sitting back and waiting for these various international bureaucratic, political organizations to help us is only part of the solution, is not the solution. I'm sorry to sound negative, but that was certainly the result of yesterday's talk, and I would ask the executive committee to vote on that. And I have to say too, the new members who have joined us because they want InterManager to do just this sort of thing and take more of a firm stand rather than being wishy-washy on the issue. We take a stand. We don't find steps taken so far as being acceptable, and we're going to support those steps, but also use a degree of self-help too where there are solutions available. But so more on that. We will put a proposal to the executive committee, and the executive committee can vote on that. And I'm saying that not on behalf of Colombia, because as I said, we already have, as have the majority of other big managers. It's not a case of I'm all right, Jack. It's a case of let's do this for everybody, and most importantly, let's do this for our seafarers, because otherwise we will miss the proverbial boat. So that was the IMO meeting. Bit disappointing, but actually probably gives us the clarity that we need, and that being that we need to take steps on our own behalf as an association now, and a team effort. As far as general principles are concerned, our code, again, which was one of the promises of certainly my presidency, and also to the new members who have joined, and therefore we want to keep to that. Kuba and I have discussed how we achieve this, and we can have paralysis by analysis, and we can have everybody chipping in, or and committees and subcommittees and subcommittees, or we can go out to an international consultancy and have a first draft produced, and then put that to an appropriate committee of InterManager to consider. And I think that is the best way. Certainly, when I look at how we get things done within Colombia, you need a start point, and you need a document to work with. Otherwise, we'll all have ideas, and we can add to that and amend it till the cows come home. But we need that start point. So I was proposing to go to, certainly in our experience, a company called Alpha Marine, who know the market, know what the clients expect from us as managers, and have done similar drafting exercise in the past to produce general principles, general code of practice, which we can then put to whoever wants to participate in that, and we'll have something to work with. So we will, unless anyone violently disagrees, we will go out today, or certainly within this week, to Alpha Marine to get them started, to get a document together. And this won't be a war and peace. It will be a concise document that we can work on. Final point on membership. There's going to be a couple of other big members joining in the next few days, so that is good news. We are getting traction, we are getting considerable interest, but always on the premise that we actually do something. And and I think that's comes back to my initial point on taking a firmer stance on this vaccination. Yes, let's play ball with all of the various good works that are being done by these international organizations, but let's recognize too that this problem is going to be resolved commercially, like most problems in this world, and not politically. My final point is that there has been some good work done on GDPR, and that sort of unofficial committee of members have been liaising really well with themselves, and there's been a lot of cooperation. What is apparent is that many members have perhaps not enough idea, and that's not a criticism, we all suffer from it, of the issues and the importance of the issue still, despite a lot of publicity on GDPR, and therefore it's a really good topic to get involved in and reach out to the unofficial committee that exists on this and share the information. I've realized over the last few months the equal important issues of sustainability and also diversity, and we are certainly making big steps on both those issues within Colombia. Again, if interested, I would be very happy to set up, again, unofficial committees on sustainability and diversity, so that we all can participate and share information, share work, and not reinvent the wheel, because there is a lot of work. There is a lot of work on, particularly on the sustainability. More and more clients are demanding comprehensive sustainability projects. It's not only the right thing to do commercially, it's the right thing to do morally, and let's share and pool our efforts on that. Certainly, again, I throw Colombia's work effort into the ring, and we will, through Cuba, circulate the key contact points from Colombia. But can I call on some of the other bigger managers who are parties to this association to start replicating some of our offers and throw into the ring some of their work streams so that we can all share and benefit from those too. So, you know, we've done GDPR, sustainability and diversity. Please, let's all start pooling our work efforts and work together as an association, work together as a team. That's all I have. Cuba, over to you.
Perfect, Mark. 10 minutes. Lovely. Thank you so much. As you can see, guys, we are on track. So I will take less than 5 minutes because Mark already talked about the vaccination. The only update I can give you is that the protocols team completed the work, and we are now in printers that should be with you hopefully this week. And this is the protocols for the vaccination of seafarers should we get a vaccination and hub ports and everything. The other issue is we have been contacted by members who are very keen to share information on COVID-affected seafarers. And we are getting some information already from members at the moment on the executive committee. But the idea is how many percentage-wise of your seafarers got positive traveling to the vessel, so on-signers, and how many seafarers went on board the ship. Those data, which is very small at the moment, shows that around 10 to 20% of people joining this are being affected. Could we please ask everybody to mute because we are getting some noise? Thank you. And I will be going, I'm still waiting for the executive committee to give me green light on that, but I can see that now then there is a majority of executive happy for us to actually go to those who want to participate. And I promise members, obviously, you submit the data, I combine this data, and the data is not traceable back to you, but it's the data to see what the trends are doing. Are we getting more COVID-infected seafarers or less, and what's happening? And that's all from me as far as I'm concerned. Now I will pause for a second. Are there any questions to what Mark was saying? Anybody would like to comment? We've got 1 or 2 minutes. I'm watching for the yellow hand. No, I can only share with you that there is the biggest meeting so far. We've got 63 people on the call. And obviously the real topic today is Philippines, and members of InterManager requested me to actually invite our colleagues and friends from Philippines to tell us what's going on there. And as you can see, we've got today with us Vice Admiral Robert M. Pedrat, who is already on a call. And Vice Admiral, I am now just going to do something, which is show your presentation so you can talk to it. Please bear with me a second. I am trying to share your screen. Here we go. Mark, can you see the screen? You are my...
I can indeed.
Very good. Okay, Vice Admiral, over to you, please. You are muted, so you need to... Yeah, here we go. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
A pleasant day to everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this very significant meeting of yours. I think this is not the start of my presentation. Can we go to the first page? So, can I proceed directly to my presentation if you will allow me? Yeah. Thank you very much. So it's an honor for me to present before everyone present this day on the Maritime Industry Authority updates. Next slide, please. I will be discussing as required by me on major topics, which is the EMSA inspection report, Marina's corrective actions, the seafarers vaccination priority, and the seafarer repatriation as required by your group. Next slide, please. So this is the EMSA report. I would like to inform everyone that I already presented this to the stakeholders of the Maritime Industry Authority, and it's an honor for me to present send this also to you so that you will be advised on what is happening as far as the seafaring industry of our country is concerned. Next slide, please. So, based on the final report from the EMSA audit team, which forwarded the report to the European Commission for their assessment and evaluation, before they can come up with the decision of whether they will support or withdraw their support as far as the Filipino seafarers are concerned. And based on the final report, there are 13 shortcomings, with 60 overall sub-findings for these 13 shortcomings and 3 observations that were noted in our system on the following areas. When you say shortcomings, significant or major non-compliance and observations, when these will not be corrected in due time, it becomes a shortcoming. So these are the findings of EMSA. On the program and course design review and approval, the EMSA audit team noted 3 shortcomings and many or minor findings. And on monitoring, supervision, and evaluation of training and assessment, there is 1 shortcoming. Examination and assessment of competence, there are 2 shortcomings. And availability and use of training facilities and simulators, 1 shortcoming. Next slide, please. And onboard training, 1 shortcoming. And for issue, revalidation, and registration of certificates and endorsement, there are 5 shortcomings, as well as the 3 noted observations. This was the EMSA audit was conducted in the first quarter of 2020. And since we received the report, or we received the report in December, the results of the report of the EMSA. But during the exit briefing, we noted some perceived observations or shortcomings by the EMSA, and that's where we start to make some corrective action, even if we did not receive the report as yet. So what we did, our methodology is we created a task group that will address the 13 shortcomings and 3 observations. And then the task group came up with root cause analysis why this has happened. So after we determined the root cause, complete the root cause analysis, we came up with measures on how to address the shortcomings. And then we presented this to all the stakeholders for them to submit inputs to us. So we conducted the workshops with them. We will have another workshop next week so that we can finalize our corrective actions, so that the entire industry are responsible or accountable to the findings of the EMSA. So next slide, please. And these are the corrective actions that we have done so far. We review and revise joint shed Marina Memorandum Circulars containing the policies, standards, and guidelines in the delivery of maritime education programs and conduct evaluation, inspection, and monitoring of MHEI. It seems that when EMSA inspected us, they see some gaps in how SHED and Marina jointly conduct monitoring and inspection of the maritime higher education institution. And then we also came up with the development and standardization of course package, because EMSA is saying that we cannot implement the new curriculum. You need to come up with the standardization of course packages before you implement the new curriculum to all MHCIs. So this is what we are doing. In fact, we are about to finish the first year or the first year level. So we hope to implement the first year level to all MHE Maritime Higher Education Institution in 2021-2022 academic school year, and the rest will be executed on 2022-2023 academic year for all the MHAI. And then completion of the one-time evaluation inspection of all existing MHAI pursuant to Executive Order 63. Yeah, we have completed this one already because it's also requirements of EMSA. And then the enhancement of Marina Integrated Seafarers Management Online System. We have implemented the online system for certification. And soon our program will not only provide an online system, but even the payment will be online, and even the delivery of their certificates will be done through courier services. And we have a plan that we will be implementing soon, that the seafarers will receive their certificates through e-signature. So that's one of our programs right now. Yeah, and then enhancement of Marina Integrated. Yeah, I just finished. Improvement of Marina Competency Assessment System and Cuba. Yes, we have a program with IMO, so that they will train and capacitate our personnel to be able to have a more efficient and effective way of monitoring and evaluating and inspecting all the maritime schools and the training institution. And then, of course, we need to improve the questions that are placed in our QBank, and we are in the process of completing that as well. Next slide. So that is EMSA and our corrective action. As far as the seafarer vaccination priority is concerned, the Department of Transportation, Marina is also involved. We presented this to the IATF, and they elevated the priority of our seafarers from B3 to A4, in align or together with the uniformed personnel and the health personnel, because we already declared the seafarers as our key, essential workers of government, or authorized person outside residence. So they are now considered in the A4 category, fourth priority now, rather than 10 before. Next slide, please. So this is the category of our seafarers. So if and when the principal says that we will only employ vaccinated seafarers, then it's no longer will be a problem for as far as Filipino seafarers are concerned. Next slide, please. So yeah, we have already done that, and we are just coming up with protocol on how to vaccinate our seafarers, what are the requirements, and how can they be deployed to their new assignment aboard ships. Next slide, please. As far as the repatriation of seafarers are concerned in the various international airports of our country, this is the data that we received from the one-stop shop. So all in all, from January to 10 April, we were able to we got an arrival data of some 61,949 seafarers, foreign and domestic seafarers. So I think that's all for me. That's the update that I can provide your group. Thank you again. And if you have any question, I'm ready to answer. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Vice Admiral. Thank you very much. Excellent timing as well. Let me just switch from your screen. I hope I've done it. Mark, has they disappeared now, the presentation? Am I?
Yeah. Yes, it has.
Very good, very good. Okay, thank you, because I'm not seeing my own screen. Excellent, thank you very much. Any questions? I don't see any hands up at the moment. Yeah. No. Oh, here we go. Yes, Ral, go ahead.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Yeah. I'm just interested in, perhaps I missed it, I think you alluded to 21, 22, but the timeline there for those stages of how you're tackling the observations there. I just wondered if there's any, we could get a better idea of where you are on that journey with all those different elements you're putting together.
Yeah, the first level was we pioneered this with the Philippine Merchant Marine Academy, a government institution, for the first level. And we did that in 2020, 2021. So I think we'll be completing the standard course packages, and then we'll disseminate this to all MHEIs so that they can implement this in 2021 and 2022 next year. Or this year. Maybe the school year will begin on August or September. So by May or June, we can disseminate this to all the MHEI so that they can be prepared prior to the opening of the 2021-22. That is only for the first year or the first level course packages. The second year and third year will be executed in 2022, 2023 academic school year. I think we have no problem in ensuring that the curriculum for the course package for first year will be implemented by all MHEIs.
Thank you, Dirk.
Vice Admiral, thank you very much for your presentation. I would have a question in connection with the vaccination part of it. Firstly, I think it is very good that the Philippine government has basically upgraded the seafarers to the key worker status. But what is very, very much interesting all of us in the industry, is there any timeline for vaccinations?
Yeah, that's a very tough question that you're asking, Dirk, about that. It depends on the arrival of the vaccination, but we are monitoring here this one on our end. Once we receive the vaccines, no matter regardless if it is from China or America or what kind of vaccine, as long as it arrives in the country, then we will pursue. If and when the ship's owner requires our seafarers to be vaccinated already, because we have not received any guidelines from the principals that they require a vaccinated ship or seafarers. As of now, if the seafarers are tested with COVID-19 RT-PCR, then they accept the employment. But I have not received any guidance yet from the principal that they require a vaccinated seafarers. But if that happens, then we will be coming up with protocols to ensure that if there are available vaccines, then we prioritize our on-signers before they are deployed.
Okay, Vice Admiral, thank you very much. AJ, I see your hand, but I'm afraid we have to progress because I'm pushed on time. So maybe we can, yeah, thank you, AJ. And the next speaker is Hans-Leo Kagdak from OWWA, and we'll be talking about testing, quarantining, airport protocols, and transport to provinces. Hans, over to you. Hello, Hans. Okay. Okay, we can't get him online, I'm afraid. Let's, yeah.
Yes, hello.
Yes, hello.
Yes, yes. So good day to all. I have a slide which I hopefully could share in time. I handed it over to Karen, so I wonder if the slide could be shared.
I don't think, I'm sorry, I didn't receive it in time. So could you talk to the slide, please? Because that will take us too much time to get it now.
Okay, so the airport protocol is fairly the same as last year, except for the time in which one is swabbed. Upon arrival at the airport, the swab testing of arriving OFWs or seafarers will be done on the 6th day of quarantine, meaning upon arrival at the airport, or at the seaport, the OFWs, the seafarers, will be taken to a hotel quarantine facility, and on the sixth day, they will be PCR swab tested, and they will be taken to a hotel. They will be taken to either the airport or the bus terminal if they are from Luzon, airport if they're from Visayas, Mindanao, if they are PCR negative. Right now, the swab testing upon arrival at the airport is done by the Coast Guard. And I'm sorry, the swab testing on the sixth day at the hotel quarantine facility is done by the Philippine Coast Guard, and the specimen are processed by uh, the government laboratories designated by the task group, the IATF, the Interagency Task Force, Interagency Government Task Force task group. So uh, the government labs process the specimen, and the results are emailed to the seafarers themselves and or the OWA. And then once the results are issued, then again, as I said, they are transported to Luzon, to the bus terminal if they're from Luzon, or Visayas, Mindanao if they are from to NAIA if they're from Visayas, Mindanao, domestic flights, sweeper flights. That entire process is free, uh, from from hotel quarantine, transport to swab testing, free to the seafarers until they arrive to their respective home regions. Now, let me just say something briefly about their hotel quarantine stay. I was supposed to have a slide to show the monitoring that we do while they're in hotel quarantine. So we have a team of nurses and midwives who do the rounds and check up on the seafarers while they are in hotel quarantine. We have partnerships with government medical institutions such as the National Center for Mental Health if there are mental health issues with respect to seafarers while they are on hotel quarantine. So the doctors and the medical personnel of the National Center for Mental Health are on hand. Also, if there are pregnant seafarers, OFWs, then the country's premier government hospital for childbirth, Fabella Hospital, it is called, also helps out. So we have the medical staff doing prenatal care, and in some cases, delivery of the babies. We have around 82 quarantine babies already since we started delivered by mothers, OFW mothers, during quarantine. Of course, if there are critical cases, then the OFWs are taken to hospital or some other medical facility so they could be given the adequate medical attention. Last point I could make is on the financial assistance. Well, just the figures on the return. We have, as of today, around 513,000 OFWs have been brought or taken to their home regions within the country. 513,000, around 175,000 of them seafarers. And uh, finally, with respect to the government financial assistance program, the 10,000 peso or 200 US dollar financial assistance program, around 160,000 seafarers have benefited already from this program and counting. We are just awaiting for fresh funding from Congress with respect to uh, the, the, uh, the new applications for this government financial assistance program. It's called ACAP, ACAP program. We also have livelihood programs, my final point, individual and group livelihood programs. And we understand some seafarers had already expressed interest. It's a brand new program. It's about a 3 4 month old program anyway. I'm talking about the group livelihood program. And we understand that some seafarers have already bonded themselves together to form a group livelihood effort. And this is a financial livelihood grant program from around 150,000 pesos to 1 million pesos grant, depending on the size of the enterprise. So that's it for me. Maybe all the rest on the question and answer. Thank you.
Hans, excellent. Thank you very much. We are pushed on time here. I'm getting some messages and questions. I'm trying to answer them if we know the answers. At the moment, there's nothing for you, and I would love to move to Bernard Olalia from POE-A because we've got this ambulance chasers issue, which is very high on some of our members' agenda. Therefore, Bernard, over to you. I hope you can unmute yourself and get on with this pending question here.
A pleasant day to everyone. This is Deputy Administrator Bong Plan. In behalf of my administrator, I would like to thank you for inviting us to provide you some updates on the different policies affecting our seafarers in the light of this pandemic. Well, as you have mentioned a while ago, most of the issues that are to be discussed are not under our purview, rather it's under the OWA. With regards to the ambulance, the issue on ambulance chasers, uh, that has been in discussion even prior to the pandemic. However, we have to involve all the different agencies involved on this, on the different cases that are being uh, that that are being filed in the different agencies. So again, so far we haven't made any any headway on resolving this. However, in relation to the pandemic that we are experiencing right now, we have issued different governing board resolutions, memorandum circulars, as well as labor advisories in order to facilitate the deployment of our seafarers and to help and assist our money agencies here. So basically, if we do not have any presentation right now, but if you have any questions that you want us to ask, then Director Ogie San Diego, who is the director of our Seabase Center, and I could answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm opening the floor because this issue was very high on some of our members' agenda. And if there are none, then I would suggest maybe direct questions to me, and then I will be in touch with Bernard and his team trying to answer. I appreciate that issue is very sensitive. Not everybody would like maybe to ask a question in public. Therefore, I will open this route through InterManager Secretariat, and we can have a dialogue directly. Because issue is important, and I think it's actually harming both, obviously, ship managers, crew owners, but also crew departments in Philippines, and it's not necessarily the nice one, I would say. Yes. Augusto, go ahead. You've got a question, but you need to unmute yourself.
Unmute myself. Okay.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon here in the Philippines. I just would want to add up what my deputy administrator has said about the ambulance chasing. The entity or the organization that handles the cases of the seafarers is our National Labor Relations Commission, or the NLRC. So maybe in your next meeting, maybe we can ask them to be part and to shed light of the issues that you would wanted to raise, and at the same time the actions they have taken up on the complaints being filed as well by the different organizations of the maritime industry. Actually, the FAME, the Joint Maritime Group, have made their ways, to elevate their concerns so that the government can intervene on those specific concerns that they have been raising. So far, there are interventions already made, but as to the magnitude of success, we still have to determine and ask the National Labor Relations Commission on how they have addressed the issues of the principles that has already been elevated to them. Uh, and of course, there was also an issue that was raised a while ago by our friend from the uh, Marina. We have already received, no, at POEA, we have already been receiving requests from principals or employers for those seafarers who will deploy or joining a cruise ship, uh, in which they are requiring the seafarers to be vaccinated. Unfortunately, they cannot have their vaccines here in the Philippines due to the lack of the availability of the vaccines, but they will be having or have it on another place or another country. For example, it's Abu Dhabi or Dubai, and in which we are very happy to note that the principal will really be shouldering the expenses for the vaccines of these seafarers. Um, anyway, if that will be pushed through, it will be a good development while we are still waiting for the resources not to give to our seafarers at present. Although, as Admiral said, that we have elevated the level of our seafarers from B4 now to A4, which is a very good act, coming from the government in recognition of our seafarers' contribution to the world economy as an essential workers. So maybe the Marina can help us out as well. Should they have not received any informations or requests coming from a particular manning agency, maybe we can farm them out. That there are already principals that are already requesting POAA on what to do if in cases that they will already be getting the seafarers out of the country and the requirement is for them to be vaccinated. I think that's all, and we are ready to entertain other questions.
Augusto,
Yes,
thank
Mr.
you. Thank you very,
Yes.
very much. I'm just scanning my screen. No further questions. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Moving on then, Justyna Bartnicka from EU Commission will update us on the EU perspective on EMSA audit. Justine, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Kuba. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. My name is Justyna Bartnicka. I'm working for the European Commission and responsible for the STCW and non-EU country recognition. And on Philippines, I guess I have, on substance, I don't have a lot to add to what the Vice Admiral was saying, only to sum up that, yes, indeed, the EMSA inspection has demonstrated that there's a lot of deficiencies, but those are rather of a structural character, meaning that those are about the programs, course designing, and those are quite significant. Also, it concerns the instructors and the assessors, including the examination and training. Also, from those structural deficiencies, EMSA has indicated that there were some other of more the technical character, meaning the facilities and equipment of school as such. They have been inspecting 14 out of, as you know, almost 100 schools providing the training and education for seafarers on Philippines. But the 14 has been selected carefully by EMSA based on the knowledge and the exchange of correspondence prior to the inspection. So the inspection took place in March 2020. I had the pleasure to be there as well, assisting EMSA experts. It was a little bit difficult by the end because we were just concluding the inspection already in the time of pandemic, but thanks to also the kind assistance of the Philippines administration, we've managed to go back home, all of us. Anyway, the report has been transferred to Marina by the EU delegation on the 1st of March this year. It took us a little bit of time to issue this report, but due to the COVID pandemic, we've been overloaded with other issues, very urgent, concerning CFS, which is as well now the case. And me personally, and the few and the very small team of my colleagues, we are now very hard working on trying to facilitate the crew changes, still pending issue 200,000 being stranded on the sea, as well as we are trying to do everything that we can, but unfortunately the Commission is not having any competence on the vaccination policy of its member states. We can only try to call upon the member states to prioritize CFS, what we are trying to do, but very informally, we cannot even recommend any policies to them, according to EU legislation and the treaties, but it takes a little bit, it takes a lot of our time and our energy here in the Commission. So the assessment report is being done by us, and the agency is assisting us, but unfortunately, due to other overload with the work, it will take more time than it usually is taking. So at this stage, I cannot say anything about the final outcome and the decision. The decision will be communicated to Marina in due time. I mean, when the assessment is going to be completed by us. What I can say now is that yes, that was a very reassuring to hear what Vice Admiral was saying, that based on the report Marina have received, the administration has already taken steps and actions towards complying with the ECCW convention and to addressing the shortcomings and deficiencies as defined and demonstrated by the agency in their report. I think I have nothing more to add here. Maybe if you have any question, I'll be happy to address them. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you. I'm scanning my screen for yellow hands. Is there anybody, any question for Christina? You will probably be pleased to know no questions. Everything went fine. Thank you. Well, we are ahead of time. I was really panicking that I will not be able to manage with such a packed agenda and so many issues. I'm opening the floor then for any other issues and any questions, any comments. Maybe we need to discuss a few things. Okay, Karen, I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Yeah, this is addressed to POEA because we noticed during the pandemic, at the onset of the pandemic, all the processes of POEA became faster. Everything is a little bit more organized than the usual. So were there any changes done in the process, or is there now an automation ongoing with POEA? Because we were really amazed by the significant expediting of all the processes. Thank you.
Augusto, are you able to answer that? You are still muted.
Thank you very much for that very kind wordings coming from Ms. Karen from our PTC, a very big agency. Coming from them, it's really a very boost on the morale of the people, especially now that we are in pandemic and we are working under skeletal. But we know the requirements of our employers. We know your requirements that we really have to facilitate the deployment of our seafarers. So as part of our commitment to the green lane on the crew change of our Filipino seafarers, we make it sure at the POA that we really have to address the concern immediately after the declaration of the lockdown, we tried to innovate in which we have to resort to online processing. And somehow we've been successful in doing so. Even at work, we can still facilitate the request of the agency. And prior to the pandemic, the POA has already innovated an online process for the documentation of our seafarers. So they don't need to queue, they don't need to come to POEA. Even up to now, they don't need to do that. So everything has to be done smoothly so that we can address properly the needs and requirements of our principals, not just the manning agencies. And thank you for that, Ms. Karen. At least no, you've tried to observe, no, coming from you, it's really a big thing. No, it's really a big deal. No, coming from a big and a presidential awardee. No, I just would wanted to inform you that PTC is one of our presidential awardees, meaning they've been giving us a lot of, works, loads, headaches sometimes, no, because they really have a plenty of requests that we really have to manage. So once again, Miss Karen, thank you very much for that wonderful wordings from the POA. I will be telling that to my boss. Anyway, my deputy administrator is there. Deputy administrator plan, I believe that admin plan, because of his leadership and his intervention sometime, no, we really improve a lot of things, no, at the sea-based center. And of course, no, with the leadership of our administrator, previous administrator, of course, Hans Kakdak, and now Administrator Olalia. So we really have innovated very well, for the improvement of the industry. So once again, thank you, Karen, and I hope the employers and our principals would also appreciate the initiatives of the POE, especially now in times of the pandemic.
Thank you, Augusto. Anybody else? Any other questions? Any other issues? While I'm waiting, I just wanted to make a comment because of the very good statistics we have been shown by Vice Admiral. For all of you who are maybe not necessarily up to the speed with figures, Philippines used to deliver 42,000 a month, okay, and now we are seeing 61 in 4 months. So that's the scale, okay? And if you remember this slide, the maximum was 20,000. So we are 50% of what we used to be on capacity of the airports for crew changes on Filipino seafarers. That means that all those on this call are probably very much affected by not enough numbers of seafarers, and those on board because they are not being relieved on time, and so on and so forth. So this is all having a snowball effect on everybody else, obviously. Okay, anybody else? Anything else? I'm not seeing anything. Mark, are you able to wrap up then? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Kuba. Thanks to the Vice Admiral and our Filipino colleagues for joining. I'm sure it's just a general comment, really, but I'm sure I speak for everybody here to whom Filipino seafarers are so vital for both on a human, on a moral, and on an economic level. When I say that, please feed back to the powers that be in the Philippines that, rightly or wrongly, countries are being judged on how they're dealing with this epidemic. And of course, there are huge differences between countries, huge difference in factors affecting how they deal with the epidemic and the severity of the epidemic. But strategic decisions are being taken by all of us, all the membership here of InterManager, on their future crewing needs. And those strategic decisions are being based upon how the Philippines is dealing, has dealt with, is dealing, and will deal with not only the repatriation of seafarers or the joining of seafarers, but also in relation to training, in relation to testing, in relation to hotel accommodation prior to joining. So please, please, please keep looking at what you're doing, how you're doing it, and ways to improve that, because we don't want, and nobody here wants, the Philippines the future of the Philippines seafarer industry to suffer as a result of this. But saying all of that, we commend. Of course, we commend what has been done and what is being done. It's a very, very difficult situation, which we all recognise. But please, please pass this back to the powers that be. It's very, very important to continue to prioritize seafarers and the handling of seafarers and the looking after the pastoral care of seafarers going forward, because strategic decisions are being taken for the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much. And then with this, I would suggest we complete our meeting. Thank you very much. The next meeting I'm working on is 2 weeks from now, and we are trying to invite Steve Cotton, and we will do the joint meeting with ITF, and it will be in 2 weeks' time. I'm also looking forward, always on the watch out for the subjects and topics InterManager members would like to raise. Therefore, please remember my email address, send them over, and I will work on it. Otherwise, thank you very, very much for everyone joining us. 67 people today, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thank you, Mr. Kuba. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.